Gray divorce. A catchy name for something that's far more debilitating than it sounds, right? What if I told you that in high conflict situations, the part of our brain that handles fear can become overactive, keeping you in that fight or flight response indefinitely? Or what if I said that distress caused from all of this can create lasting trauma responses in the brain, at least according to neuroscience? And would you be surprised if I told you that in regards to divorce, depending on the severity of conflict or abandonment or whatever, it can now be recognized as a legitimate experience with trauma that has significant neurobiological impacts? Everything from how our hormones are balanced or how they become unbalanced, how we make decisions, how we regulate our emotions, and how we handle stress, all of that is influenced by what is happening up here inside our brain. Something called neuroplasticity and or rewiring is connected to how the brain is able to reorganize itself when it's really trying hard to recover. Now, therapy is one way to help intervene in that process of rewiring the pathways that are needed so that our emotional balance can kind of be restored. And there are other things that can help recover from traumatic gray divorce specifically. And I'll be talking more about those things in other videos on this channel. So stay tuned. But in a world that tells us to just get over with it, it's extremely validating, at least to me, to see that in the black and white world of neuroscience, we're not crazy or overreacting, at least in the way people mean when they say, stop fixating on the past. It's over, done with. Now let it go. Just get over with it. Grief response is strong, especially in gray divorce, because we're not just mourning the loss of a relationship that has been with us for decades in some cases. In some cases, we're also mourning the loss of the person we thought we knew, the loss of shared dreams, hopes, and our very identity itself. Not to mention the financial security, not to mention the financial security of knowing we had a partner who was in it and working on a future together with us. As legitimate framework for divorce, trauma is something that definitely needs to be a part of the conversation. Gray divorce specifically, because the entire dynamics are skewed when you are in your later years. The emotional fallout is more impactful, and the damage is far more broad, far-reaching. Symptoms of emotional fallout are most definitely more like those from post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, at least in my case. And I'm sure it's true for many others too. Isolation hits so much harder. Low self-esteem, negative self-perceptions, all of that stuff gains greater traction. Often interest in the world at large decreases, while things like sleep disturbances, mental anguish, and nightmares, all of that stuff increase. Relationships with adult children can become strained, and sustained stress plays an effect, or distress for some of us, can have greater chances of happening and showing up. And it can show up as emotional or behavioral issues in our kids and in us. Long-term mental health can be affected profoundly, and things like depression or anxiety, social isolation, as the desire is to kind of just shield yourself and cover up from the world and kind of grieve in loneliness and isolation. And again, like I said, low self-esteem, all of that can become regular struggles. I'm Tracy, or TJ to my friends, and as someone who was brought to the literal brink of morbidity as a result of my own traumatic gray divorce following 34 years of marriage. Yeah, it's a hella long time. But as someone who during that span of time experienced everything from infertility and miscarriages to PTSD, complex grief with the sudden loss of my mother during the time of my divorce, and also my finals for my master's degree in psychology, which I completely bombed because I just could not function after the loss of my mom. And last but not least, as a person who is now managing a heart defect and other chronic conditions that were, I guess they were undiagnosed, but they were exacerbated by the intense stress that I was under. And now, thank God, I am 6 years on the other side of my traumatic divorce now. So now it's time for me to reach back and help others who are on this journey and who are looking for resources to help them survive as I was, since I know they didn't exist when I searched. So I've created them for the person that I was back then. And hopefully they can share and be helpful resources for you as well. And I also did this as a way to shed light so that others can know that despite the devastation, there is a new version of yourself waiting on the other side of this abyss. I should know. I was homeless for 2 years. I couldn't get up off the couch for one of those years, even though I had been working out with a personal trainer 4 days a week for a year prior to all of that. I started randomly blacking out, and I blinked once at the top of the stairs. And when I regained consciousness, I was already halfway in mid fall, and my left leg was stuck between like an open area in those old fashioned stairs, and it was broken. So now, will it take time for you to heal from the inner rage that gray divorce causes? Absolutely. Were you someone who was betrayed by the person that you gave your true love, your decades of your time and your future to, as I was? How is it possible to survive something that feels like you stood in the middle of a highway and you got run over by a giant semi truck? Life seems over, and you can't stop the ruminating thoughts from constantly being played over and over and over again in your head. After age 50 or 60, divorce spans a period of, as I said, decades. So disillusion is deeply destabilizing. Holiday traditions are obliterated, family gatherings disintegrate, and irrational thinking goes rampant. It's so hard not to throw shade and blame the spouse who betrayed you or hurt you in other ways. And inevitably, adult children can get pulled into the fray. It's a mistake, and it's a mistake that I myself made way too often. You may have supportive people around you when you're going through gray divorce, but can they truly understand the depths of the despair that you are going through? The constant memories, God, so many of them. When my marriage was good, it was great. But when it was bad, it was horrific. And yet, you can't find any release from your constant companions, those awful, painful thoughts of the way things used to be. Wondering, who the hell was that stranger that you divorced? You didn't even recognize them. So therapy is a great option once you're ready to start your process of healing. It's a safe space, and it's one where I found that I could express whatever was on my mind and heart in the way that I wanted to share it. And I didn't have to worry about what my adult children, my siblings, or anybody else for that matter, what they thought about how I felt and how I was expressing that. I could just regurgitate, if you will, my thoughts and my emotions, my fears, and anything else, knowing that I wouldn't be judged and that I was safe sharing what I needed to. And then getting therapeutic advice, feedback, and maybe creative ideas that I had never considered to help me grow and heal. There is no time frame for healing from traumatic divorce. Remember that. There's no time frame. It changes from person to person, situation to situation. So please give yourself some grace. It can't be forced, trust me. I am one who tried to find all the shortcuts to healing, all of them. I helped myself too when I started to research trauma-informed therapies and methods involving something that greatly impacted my own healing that's called solution-focused brief therapy, which is something I was looking into in my psychology courses at the time. And I know others may discuss cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT, or even eye movement desensitization and reprocessing or EMDR, which is a mouthful to say. And they can be very helpful in processing trauma and rebuilding resilience. But for me, I was hurt more by re-experiencing my trauma and from the enormity of my great divorce. I didn't want to remember it. I didn't want to think about it. I just wanted to stop the pain. So for me, something like solution-focused brief therapy benefited me way more. And it actually helped me raise my head again so that I can start this journey forward. Excuse me. Overall, I think the recognition of divorce as a traumatic experience, which it really is, and using any and all available neuroscientific insights, I think that helps those who are affected by it, because then we can seek more specifically targeted strategies and support, which aids us in healing and moving towards, I don't know, healthier futures and goals and things that we want to accomplish without the stigma of people thinking that we're crazy or irrational or overreacting or any of that. So my purpose in posing those questions that I asked at the beginning of the video and sharing a bit of my history is so that you know when you see my content that it's created by a real 69-year-old person who has gone through the fire myself and who came out better on the other side. Iron is forged in the hottest fire. And so when I tell you that I have not only walked through it, but like the phoenix, I found a way to rebuild my life one tiny pinprick of light at a time. I want you to be encouraged that I can relate to where you are. I know the strategies and things that I did during my 6-year period of grief and healing. I know that they can be resources for you too. That's why I'm here now, out in these YouTube streets, sharing my story and making myself totally vulnerable. I would have loved for there to be a version of the me that I am now who could have helped me back then. So I'm showing up as that person now for anyone else who is hurting, grieving, and wondering if the pain will ever end. I found ways to move forward when I never thought it would be possible to live without such all-encompassing physical and mental pain again. So if this content resonates with you, or if you know someone that it can help, share it with them. I'm also trying an experiment with this channel too. And it's something that I saw another person I know try with their own YouTube channel. So if you found value in this video, subscribe to let YouTube know you think this content is good, so they can push it out to even more people who may find value in it too. Leave a comment and tell me where you are on your own journey. What are things you struggle with? And what other topics would you like to really see me create videos from on this channel? What about them? What do you need? I read each comment and I will do my best to create more and more videos with actionable steps just like this one to help you move forward. If you enjoyed this video and you got value from it, be sure to check out this video here. It has even more strategies for you. I will see you on the next one. Have a great day, everyone.